What's the difference between somebody who is able to go from smoking 2 packs of cigarettes per day to smoking 0 cigarettes per day in just 4 months, and another person who goes from smoking 1 pack of cigarettes per day to a quarter pack of cigarettes in 6 weeks and says they cannot cut down any further because it is too hard? Well, the difference between these two people is that the one who is able to eliminate cigarettes altogether has a strong reason why he needs to eliminate cigarettes altogether, right? And if you have a strong enough reason to do something, you are able to do the hard thing. So that person who is not able to get below 5 cigarettes per day does not have a strong enough reason to do so. It's not important enough for him to do so. Now, the case with the person who went from two entire packs per day to none, his reason was that he needed a major surgery, and the surgeon told him that, you know what, if you want your wound to heal and to decrease your chance of getting an infection, you need to stop smoking cigarettes. And thankfully, the patient actually listened and willed himself to quit smoking cigarettes, right? And I actually applaud the doctor for really taking the time to explain to this patient the dangers of cigarette smoking, because a lot of times, honestly, we just assume a patient is not going to do what we recommend, because so often patients do not do what we recommend, right? And like I said, my realization now, I try my best to explain to people why I'm recommending certain things, right? But I do recognize that you have to have your own very strong reason to make a change, right? The change has to be important for you, otherwise you will never make it. And that goes with anything. Like we so frequently recommend diet and lifestyle modifications for a variety of diseases, right? And we talk about reducing our sugar intake, reducing processed foods. For persons who have heart failure, we talk about minimizing the intake of fluids in an entire day. Of people on dialysis, we talk about minimizing fluids and so on. But at the end of the day, we are basically talking in a vacuum, because that individual who we're recommending the changes to must have their own personal reason that is strong enough and important enough for them to be able to make those changes. So what I would recommend to you all is that if there is something that you should do, right, but you've been having difficulty doing it up until now, my recommendation is to sit down for a moment and take the time to think about your personal reasons why you should do this thing. And sometimes it's obvious sometimes reasons are there, you kind of have an idea, but you literally have to sit down and think about them, right? And think about why they're important. So for some people, it's because they want to see their children grow up. For others, it's because they don't want to be a burden on their children. And by the way, being a burden on your children is a big deal, right? Especially now when financially things are pretty tight in some quarters. And so to have to burden your children with taking care of you when they might be taking care of their own children, or they might need to go to work to bring in money, to bring in income for the family, it's pretty tough. And so we know that there are some situations where people really need the help, but they literally do not want to burden their children, but they need the help, so they end up actually suffering. And sometimes people, literally, I've had people say they wish they weren't alive. Like, and to get to a point where you actually wish you were not alive, that's a very sad thing, right? So is it because you don't want to burden your family? Is it because you want to see your children grow up? Is it because you want to have the joy of seeing grandchildren and playing with your grandchildren? Is it because you want to save money? Is it because you want to change careers and you want to be able to be strong enough to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? So you have to have your specific reason, right? For me, I just want to be healthy for my son. My son is only 5, and so I need to be, and I'm not like a spring chicken, so I need to be healthy and energetic so that I can do whatever my son wants me to do with him, right? And I want to be healthy without having to rely on prescription medications, right? Personally, I don't want any prescription medications unless I'm dying, right? Or unless it's temporary, but I don't want to be sustained chronically on medication. So I am going to do whatever I can so that I don't need to rely on prescription drugs to help me to get by, right? So figure out what your specific reason is, right? And dwell on it a little bit, feel it, right? Because sometimes you have to actually internalize something and feel it, right? And it becomes a part of you and your driving force, and you're thinking about it all the time when you're making certain decisions, or when you're about to do something that's not serving you, that's not helping you to become the person that you want to be, the person that you know you can be, right? So what is your reason? Get something that's important enough to you to help you to be able to make the changes that you need to make in life, okay? Now, y'all, if you've been listening to me, you know that I think that what we put in our bodies is one of the most important factors determining our health, right, and well-being and vitality, right? And so for that reason, and because I know that so many people have challenges trying to figure out what to eat, right, because you know we get the big mess, one of the commonest bits or pieces of advice you get when you go to the doctor is, oh, eat better and exercise, right? But most people don't truly understand what it means to eat better, right? Like, you might say, oh, well, you know, no fast food, no fried foods, but the true understanding of what it means to eat better is lacking for a lot of people. And for that reason, I created the Eat More, Weigh Less challenge, which is designed to help you to figure out basically how to eat better, right? How to eat better to beat disease, how to eat better to adopt a healthier weight, right? And how to eat better to overall maintain longevity, right? And just well-being. And so the Eat More, Weigh Less challenge it's just about to be wrapped up, but it has been so successful that basically I'm going to host it again. And so look out for more information on when I'll be hosting this challenge.